not 15% of the entire budget. Remember, it's 4.8 trillion shillings. Nowhere close to that. 15% of what KRA should be collecting. And it's about barely 3 trillion shillings.
It's about 2.6.
Tujafika 3 trillion. So 15% of that amount. I think by the last count it was about 485 billion shillings going to counties. That could change slightly depending on the revenues collected. There are conditional grants, and these are funds from the national government or donors for specific purposes like health, roads, agriculture, level 5 hospitals, and things like what you're talking about, road maintenance levy, how much should go to counties and stuff like that. Yeah. Then there's own source revenue. How much are they collecting through parking fees and licenses? There's the equalization fund, which is 0.5% of national revenues for marginalized areas like Wajir and the rest, now that we're talking about Wajir. And then there are other donors and grants, private-public partnerships, and minerals royalties in some cases. For example, like Narok gets a lot of money from the national park, Masai Mara. Yes, so... Yes, and the question now is, and this is what we are asking today, are counties getting enough? We'll start with you, Robert Alai. Are counties getting enough? And are they justified to ask for more?
No, I think that that's a question which is a yes and no for me. And it's a yes and no for me because I think that when we devolve some of these functions, we devolve them, but counties have two sources, which is two main sources, which is the own source revenue and also the remittances from exchequer. The others are like grants and so on, from development partners. The challenge I have with the county is that we need to have a framework of how to handle especially on-source revenue, because the on-source revenue is so grey that every new governor comes into a county with its own system. They decide who is going to collect the revenue, what is the system going to reveal to whoever is supposed to have access to the system to ensure that there's auditing and the trail is properly accounted for. That is a challenge. I think that the national government, there was a time they were doing it for Nairobi, though it was also a bit of a shady area because even themselves, they are relying on a system like eCitizen to do the collection. So we didn't understand why they were putting this system, which was supposed to help Nairobi City County. I think that we need to have a framework. We need to develop a system with the central bank's guidance through the National Payment Systems Act to ensure that these systems meet a certain criteria of visibility and they are able to be accountable so that they are deployed across the country and the governors can have the control, the county assemblies can have oversight, access over them and so on and so on. Even the internal auditors and so on, we can have them audit the systems. The on-source revenue is where if there's transparency, we'll say that the counties are collecting enough or the counties is getting enough or not. I believe a city county like Nairobi or Mombasa or Kisumu should never get exchequer support to the extent that they are getting today.
They're able to raise their own revenue.
I think they should be able to raise their own revenue. The challenge is that we have not structured revenue collection and developed systems because the ICT is also not embraced in the counties. Most of the counties, the most complex ICT system they have is probably an Excel sheet, and it is by design. People believe that a computer will not enable them to be a bit dishonest. But you tell them that garbage in, garbage out. If you want to still, my role as a county assembly representative is to ensure that there's oversight. And, I want to have access. I want to know if you allocated money for this road, was it remitted in time? Because sometimes it's what he said, she said, he said, she said.
And our understanding from many Kenyans is that the county budget making process more or less mirrors what happens at the national level. That you talk about.